Welcome to TERRA at Home with your host, Kris Moretti.
Good morning and welcome to TERRA at Home. It's now June and that means one thing. Well, it means many things, but one of the things it means is that it's wedding season. Yay. Brides everywhere are starting to get really close to the big day, and I'm here with Joy Book-Tamás from It's a Joy Wedding and Events. Joy, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a really busy time for brides to be out there.
It is, absolutely, for sure.
So I'm happy to have you with us. We're going to talk about some of the biggest considerations for planning a wedding, maybe some common pitfalls and how to avoid them. And I'm so thrilled to have you with us. You're based out of Hamilton, so your expertise is really strong in this whole area. You know the ins and outs of planning a wedding in the Hamilton area.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I pride myself on that because that's what I have to do as a wedding planner.
So I myself was a bride once, not that long ago, and I know how stressful it can be. How can a wedding planner help to ease that stress and make the whole process easier?
A wedding planner really helps you to figure everything out.
Yeah.
So you have a great big massive idea that you want to get done, and I got to figure out how to execute it.
Right.
So my biggest thing is making sure that you're calm. We lower that stress level because with brides it just goes,
yes,
right?
It does, yeah.
So we want to lower the stress level and figure everything out and what our next step is, because there's always a next step.
There is. How about a first step? Say your wedding is coming eventually, you're maybe not even sure when.
Yeah.
How do you begin the planning process?
Well, the biggest thing that I have to say is that normally a ceremony or a venue site are booked. Okay, so if I wanted to get married a month from now, which some brides come to me and say, I'm getting married in a month, and I've done that, but their first choice for a ceremony or venue site is completely booked up because it can be booked 2 years ahead of time.
So maybe think of ideal location or a ceremony or a venue first is kind of one of the first things you want to cross off the list.
Yes, and what kind of ceremony or venue you're looking for. So like, do you want a rustic chic or do you want a modern? What kind of wedding do you want? What's your theme?
Secondary to that, I imagine one of the biggest considerations for anyone planning a wedding is budget.
Absolutely.
Deciding on a budget, working within a budget. Can you help with that too?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I have people come to me specifically for, and they'll just get time with me just to deal with a budget.
Right.
Okay, they don't have to do a whole package, but they just do a budget because that is the biggest thing, and it causes the most stress.
Right.
And then you're going to be having, unfortunately, spending is part of a wedding.
Yes.
Okay? You have to spend money in order to do the wedding.
So a wedding planner can actually help you to sit down and work out your budget, and that can be the extent of the services from your wedding planner.
Absolutely.
You can go from that to the full service where you're there on the day of and the whole thing.
I do absolutely everything.
Can you explain sort of the breadth of that service then? So I guess the beginning would be the budget service, but then you kind of do things in between as well.
Yes, so there's about 3 different aspects of most wedding planners do. They'll do hourly consultations, so do an hour or two, and we'll sort of group packages and programs together with that. And then we're going to do the day of coordination.
Okay.
So the day of means I'm going to be talking to you beforehand. Day of really is about a month of for a good wedding planner, because I need to be able to know what you want in order to execute it on the day of. So about a month before you come to me, we talk and we deal with everything that needs to be done, and we figure out the plan.
So that can be really helpful. You can have someone who's kind of calling the shots, running the show on your big day, so that all you have to do is relax and enjoy yourself.
I want my brides to be guests.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. I want my brides to be a guest, and I want their wedding party to be a guest as well.
Okay.
And we don't want a mom or an aunt running around doing all those things that really need to be done. I want them to be a guest at their own wedding.
That's a really good philosophy where, everyone's there to have fun. Why not just let them have fun?
Exactly.
What would you say are the most common pitfalls in planning a wedding? What are the things that people get the most snagged up on?
Unfortunately, I'd have to say it ends up being money.
Yeah.
It totally comes back to the money aspect, but putting money aside, I'd probably say is communication. Not only just between the bride and groom, because the bride wants one thing, sees something, goes and buys it, and then comes back to the groom and said, oh, I found this fantastic thing. And the groom goes, how much money did you spend?
Right.
So I want the communication between the bride and groom to be able to bring everything, because this is just the first day of the rest of their lives together.
Yeah.
You can't think of just the wedding. You got to think of all the other things and all the relationships.
So maybe building priorities is kind of one of the main things to look at in making sure that you're successful. And then of course you can help people to decide what things are essential, what things are maybe less essential, and you can work the budget that way, because frankly, I mean, anyone can get married. You just have to decide what it's going to look like as far as the budget is concerned and find a way to make that work.
Exactly. Yeah.
As far as venues in the Hamilton area, are there really key hot spots that you want to mention?
There are lots of hot spots in the Hamilton area. I really do like the Ancestral Mill.
Yes.
It's beautiful and it can encompass absolutely everything. There's some other different places, like if you want just Michelangelo's or Banquet Center, you can do other different places with regards to that. But I love to have just an intimate setting, whether it's at a restaurant that I really like, and just do a 40-person wedding and just have something that is just the bride and groom. So the venue totally depends on what the bride and groom want.
Now that's something that you don't, for me, because I had a large wedding, I think of wedding as being a huge elaborate affair. It doesn't need to be. It can be a small intimate affair and still be just as special as a really big event. So maybe if you're working with a smaller budget, a more intimate wedding might be a good solution.
Yes, absolutely. And then one of the tips that I'd like to give for the Hamilton brides is if you can't find something in Hamilton that you really, really like, don't be afraid to just go outside of Hamilton area just a little bit.
Yeah.
Within about an hour driving time, that's an acceptable amount of time for your guests to drive. Just go and look outside, or have a wedding planner help you to figure out what some venues outside of Hamilton are, because there's some fantastic things in Hamilton, but they might not be for you.
How about the wedding party? What can we do to make sure the wedding party is all on board, everyone's coordinated, everyone's having a good time? What role does the wedding party play in the whole planning process? Do they play a part? How does that work?
It totally depends on what the bride and groom want.
Yeah.
All right. So if the bride and groom want some extra help, it helps to alleviate a wedding planner and get different things, tasks done. But it's all a task orientated. It's all about the details, right? You have to have details.
Yes.
So I want to bring joy to the details, but it's all about the details. So I want the wedding party to be involved as much as we possibly can to get those things done. And then on the day of, take a step back and become a guest.
Are there any major trends in wedding parties that we should be on the lookout for as far as planning a wedding? If you've got your wedding party selected, any major color themes? What's happening in dresses? What should we
all
be
the fun
for?
stuff. As you know, we've got the royal wedding that just happened.
Yes,
so lace is coming back. Okay. I can see that for sure. I'm also seeing that if we can still have the sweetheart dresses or the strapless, but having some nice lace overcoats or some really long veils, I'm seeing those kind of trends come back. And I have to say that purple is the color.
Ah, it's the color here too this season.
Purple.
So it's snuck into weddings as well.
For sure.
Fantastic. So you can take a cue from your indoor decor, all of the things that you love most, including your favorite color, and inspiration, of course, from the royal bride.
Yes.
And bring that into your own special day.
Absolutely.
Joy, thank you so much for your expertise and your insights. And for more information, of course, you can visit Joy at itsajoy.ca. Join us after the break for more ways to make your day extra special.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
When we first bought the house, the lawn was nothing but brown. So I called my father-in-law. He's really good with the lawn. He knows exactly what to do.
Well, I told him you're Scott's turf builder. He said, well, I got this other stuff, and I told him, take it back to the store. But some brands have filler, like sand and gravel, stuff you don't want on your lawn. Scott's turf builder is pure food. Every granule's 100% nutrition. You get what you pay for every time. You see what happens, Tim, when you listen to your father-in-law?
All food, no filler. That's the Scott's advantage.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home, where I'm now joined by Pauline Scott, owner of the Coach House Bridal Salon in Waterdown. Thank you so much for having us in your lovely shop, Pauline.
Well, thank you for coming.
We're talking all about weddings today. So you're somewhat of an expert when it comes to outfitting the bridal party.
Yes, that's true.
You've got a fantastic selection of beautiful bridal gowns here, but for anyone getting married this season, it's probably too late. How far in advance do you need to choose your gown in order to make sure you get what you want?
Actually, bridal gowns usually take between 4 and 6 months for us to receive them into the store. Okay. And then you need time after that to have them fitted properly and outfitted and accessorized, etc. But it's not impossible to get something. We've done a wedding in 3 days as well. Okay. You know, sometimes you can buy off the rack, or there are rush available from many of the different manufacturers, or sometimes they have something in stock. So it can be trickier. Yep. It's much better if you have the time, and we suggest that you do it about at least 8 months before the wedding.
So advanced planning is a good idea, but yes. If you are a procrastinator, all hope is not lost.
True.
That's good. Let's talk about trends in bridal fashions. The royal wedding has just happened this past spring, and are you going to see a big rush in lace, that sort of thing?
I think we're going to see some more girls looking at lace. I also think that they will be looking for something with sleeves eventually, but I don't see that as something coming right away.
Right.
Because her gown actually looked like a strapless gown with lace over. So I think the strapless gown will stay where, it's popular as it is, but maybe little jackets or whatever to go over to bring that modesty part back in with the sleeves and stuff. So I think that's what we might see to start off with. But as all things go in cycles, and fashion especially, sleeves will be back. Yep. When I first opened the store in '89, they were the big poofy sleeves.
Right, of course.
They were great big,
Perhaps a cue from Diana at the time. I mean, royal weddings tend to sort of set the style, set the trend for the coming decade, really, in a lot of ways.
True.
So from jackets, that's one way to accessorize. How else do people accessorize for bridal gowns? We've got headpieces behind us, tiaras, veils.
Yes.
Are there any major trends emerging in accessorizing for this season?
There aren't as many of the, which might change too because of the royal wedding, the crowny looking tiaras. There doesn't seem to be as much of demand for that. But again, Kate did wear a tiara. Yes. And so that may bring that forth again. But the feathers, the side pieces, the jewel pieces in the hair, they seem to have taken over from the tiara.
Fantastic. How about shoes? Have shoes changed at all for the bride?
They have. Shoes are quite interesting. We don't carry shoes anymore, but we're seeing girls especially brides with colored shoes. I think from Sex and the City, the blue shoes that she wore, we're seeing brides wearing colorful shoes, sometimes to match their bridesmaids, sometimes just blue for their something blue, or red because they like it and it stands out. So yes, the shoes are really quite exciting.
Why not have a bit of fun, right? I mean,
for sure.
It's your big day, so you might as well wear some flashy
because
something.
No one sees them really until all of a sudden, if they're doing the garter thing, they see the shoes, because for the most part the gown is in front of the shoes. So.
Let's talk about outfitting the bridal party. The bridesmaids, of course, are the bride's best accessory, perhaps.
Yes.
And those are often done in a bit of a shorter timeline than the bridal gown.
Yes.
How far in advance should we be shopping for bridesmaid dresses?
Again, we suggest shopping 4 to 5 months ahead of time because they do take 10 to 12 weeks, so we approximate that as 3 months. So for most, again, there are rushes available. Sometimes there are some availability of stock from the manufacturer, but usually when you're doing a group of girls, you want all the same color and probably close to the same style, so that availability is a little harder. So bridesmaids do need to shop ahead of time.
For 2011, are you seeing any major color trends, major themes that are happening?
Not great changes as they have been. Black is still really a very popular color. The little black dress is then a wear again item. But we have seen a lot of purples, the eggplant right down to the lighter mauves. And for destination weddings, lots of nice bright colors, the aquas and the bright fuchsias and things like that, which look great in destination type places.
Something I've seen more of is the bridal party all wearing the same color, perhaps the same fabric, but maybe not the same style of dress. Is that becoming a popular thing?
That's been going on for quite a while. Originally, Alfred Angelo, for instance, had a group of mix and match bridesmaids outfits where all the tops were different, the skirts were different, and that was really used quite a lot, because then the bridesmaids could have a different top and maybe all the same skirt, so it changed up the style. And they went a little further from that grouping. That isn't available anymore, but what they've done is they have a whole group of dresses that work together, like they're very similar in different aspects, and the girls can then have the same color but all different dresses, ones that suit their body type.
Definitely. I mean, that can be a major advantage, because in your collection of bridesmaids, you may have some very different body types in there, and it's nice that everyone can wear something that flatters their shape.
You want them to feel good that day too, because they aren't going to look as beautiful unless they feel beautiful. So it does make a difference when the bride allows them at times to choose a style that suits their body type.
What about the mother of the bride? Anything changing there as far as what she's wearing?
The mothers of the bride are not typically anymore looking for that real suit, the real look of a mother of the bride with beads and everything on it. They're looking for a younger outfit, something that's with a little more pizzazz. Short lengths rather than full length as well, depending on the style of the wedding. If it's a formal wedding, a very formal wedding, of course, everyone's going to wear long. But for most weddings, the mother of the bride wants to look more youthful.
So is it possible for the mother of the bride then to shop on the bridesmaid rack?
Definitely. We get a lot of moms that do buy bridesmaids dresses and then get one of those little bolero jackets, for instance, or a shawl, so that they feel more comfortable in the church.
And how about the boys? Of course, we have to worry about the boys and make sure that they're wearing things that are fashion forward. Where can we help with that?
Well, we carry, for instance, 2 different formal lines that are rental, and most of the fellows want to coordinate with the bride, make sure they coordinate, shall we say, with the wedding party. So there is a wide selection of vests and tie colors that they can choose from both Freeman's and from Collins that we have. And the guys don't feel bad about wearing pink either.
Oh, nice.
We find the fellas are quite open about it. They're okay. They don't mind wearing if it's an island wedding especially, and they're going to not wear the khaki outfit, which some of them just wear a linen, 2-piece. If they're going to wear something a little more formal, then they don't mind wearing the bright colors either. They feel confident. They feel confident in wearing those colors.
Pauline, thank you so much. It's a big, wild world of weddings out there, so it's nice to get a little bit of direction in advance. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Coming up after the break, some special treats for your special day.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home, where we're now in the kitchen with Chef Rachel. How are you doing, Chef?
Hi, Kris. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
We're continuing on our wedding trend today and talking about something that's really sweeping as far as trends in wedding are concerned, and that's using cupcakes in lieu of wedding cake.
Right.
It really allows you an opportunity to be creative. It's kind of fun and funky, a little bit different, and if you've got a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of creativity, a little bit of confidence, you can do it yourself.
Yes. I don't know of many people who go out and attempt to make their own wedding cake, but cupcakes these days are so big, and they're really simple to do. So you get your wedding party together, You guys come up with some good ideas, and you can really make nice presentations of cupcakes at your wedding.
So you've come to the table with some great techniques, a few great ideas for cupcakes that can look a little extra fancy for the big day.
Things that are fairly simple that anybody can do at home. I have around me some cupcakes that I prepared already, and some of the stands that I use when I do cupcake presentations. Very lucky that my dad at home helps me make these stands.
Oh, so some of these you've actually constructed specifically for this purpose.
Yes.
But if you don't have a handy dad, a lot of the time now you can rent things like this, or you can find them in a lot of craft stores, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You can. At any rental place, you can get stands like this, probably different sizes, and I've definitely seen them at craft stores. All different colors, shapes, sizes, clear ones. This one here is specifically for mini cupcakes.
Great.
And of course, quite small for a wedding. But depending on what you want to do, if you have, a bunch of those and you set up a big presentation, any kind of size or shape would work.
Great. All right, so let's talk theme. We've got a few different examples of theme going here. Of course, you can take your cue from your wedding party, your wedding colors, and kind of work with that.
Right.
How would you begin?
Okay, so that's exactly the first step, is to figure out, what your color theme wants to be.
Yeah.
I've made some cupcakes. You can use, the regular white cupcake cups, but you can also get, these are fairly basic, yellow, pink, kind of a greeny color. At any store you can, the possibilities are endless with the cupcake cups that you can get.
Yeah, you can find silver, gold, black, all sorts of things.
Right, and they're not all necessarily, these are quite small.
Yeah.
You can get some that are a lot bigger too, depending on, what you want the cupcake to look like. So you want to decide what kind of cup you want to use and the color. So this one's just white here.
Okay.
Now, there's so many, like I said, so many possibilities when you're doing stuff like this. Just be creative. I think one of the easiest things would be to use fondant.
Right.
So making shapes and things like that out of fondant. This is the fondant that I buy. It's just, comes in a 4-pound container. It's white, it's hard. It's almost like a Play-Doh, right? Then you want the gum paste as well.
Okay.
What you do is you mix those two separately. You knead it and work it in separately, and then mix them together. Now what the gum paste does is it makes your, your cutout, whatever it may be, harden slightly.
Okay.
So it won't flop over when you put it in the cupcake.
I see.
These are things that you can buy too. If you're fancy with the piping and you can pipe your own flowers, that's definitely an alternative, but you can buy these already like this in any color, so that's a good option for decoration.
Great.
I have some of my fondant rolled already that I've colored. You can buy colors, at the craft store. It's really simple to do.
And you use gel colors rather than drops of food coloring, just
Right.
because it's a little more saturated, gives you a more true color. Is that the case?
Yeah, and these are meant for cakes specifically,
Okay.
right? So, you just want to have all your tools ahead of you. These are, little edible sparkles, so we can have some fun with that as well.
Okay.
So I also have different tips here, depending on the look that you want. So this is a nice tip. This is going to be the same as this here, so it's kind of almost looks like a flower when it's piped out.
Yeah, let's demonstrate how to make that one, because I really love that. I love the color of it. I love the simplicity of it. I think it's really sweet. It would be nice for a wedding for sure. So let's do that one.
Again, you have your regular white icing, your buttercream icing, or your chocolate.
Yeah.
Right? But if you have the white, you can use any of these colors and tint the icing whichever color you want. So this is a nice bright blue that we have here. So it's really simple. The tip does all the work for you, really.
Sure.
You want to hold the bag really tight and pick one area to start, and just keep squeezing as you're moving. You can make it, as high or low as you like. So
you make that look really easy.
It really is, though, Kris. Like I said, the tip does all the work for you. So as long as you're holding it correctly, you're squeezing as you're moving, it comes out and, it looks really beautiful. You can mix up the cupcakes too. So if your colors are, green and yellow, blue and yellow, do half the cupcakes in blue and half the cupcakes in yellow, right?
Perfect.
You can have fun with it.
Yeah, if you were doing the little star, you could reverse the colors and have
Exactly.
the yellow with the blue star. There's a lot of things you can do.
Right, so like I said, there are different, flower cutouts. You can have heart cutouts, whatever you like. So these are just the little edible sparkles. So this is, say, a fairly simple cupcake, right? But it looks really pretty.
It does look nice. Now this is an example of something that's relatively simple, like you said, and can be done quite simply by the girls in your wedding party, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
What about fondant? So you mentioned fondant as being a good option for someone. How would you work with, you've got your little balls, they're colored, and that's maybe, dare I say, a little bit more of a formal presentation.
Right.
How would we work with that?
So there's two different ways to use the fondant. You can use it as an accent, which I've done over here.
Yeah.
You can do monograms. So you cut out circles with your fondant. We have, just a regular small tip here, and you just pipe out your letter. So I did a K over there, let's do an R here, right? In whatever kind of writing you want. When that hardens, you can put that in the cupcake. So I have my pink cup here. We'll use the chocolate.
Yep.
Now this is a round tip, so it's going to make a pretty smooth
Overall
surface, right? So you don't have any of the crazy flower look in there, right?
And then you basically allow your little accent to be the exciting part of it.
Right, so when this dries, which is not quite dry yet, you just, pick the side you like best and throw it in there like that. Obviously, take a little more care and time in there, but that goes really nice on the pink setting.
Very nice.
Another way to use the fondant for your icing is to not actually ice the top of the cupcakes, use the fondant as the icing.
Right.
So, sticking with this theme here, I've colored my fondant black. With a little bit of icing, we can
Form
pipe
the
it on
glue.
there so it sticks. And then you can use that kind of as like you said, a more formal look. You might need to trim down the cupcake, make sure that it's even.
Okay.
Right? And then from there, again, you can attach the monogram on there. You can put some little hearts in there.
Okay.
Flowers,
Perfect.
whatever works for you. In this case, I've used one of these roses, cut a little circle in the middle and pushed it right in.
Fantastic. Some great options there. When we come back, we'll talk about ribbon.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to the kitchen, where Chef Rachel and I are just putting some more final finishing touches on some cupcakes to make them that much fancier for a special occasion like your wedding this summer.
Right. The last thing that would make a cupcake, look a little more fancy would be ribbon. So I just use regular ribbon that I buy at the craft store. I think it's important that you make sure that it's on there pretty securely. So what I normally do is use a glue gun to do that. Now you just want to be careful, obviously, because you're using glue around your cupcakes. But if you do it very carefully, you can nicely secure a ribbon on there. In this case, I've added a little extra so it looks like a tiny little bow. And then keeping in mind, you want the colors to go well. So you want nice color contrast. In this case, the gold is very pretty, but it might look a little better on a chocolate cupcake that's a little darker, right? So you want to think about that.
Okay, fantastic. To all of you at home, you can look for Chef Rachel's cupcake recipe online at terragreenhouses.com. Join us next week for more Terra at Home.